One section, I think one section is
well, this is 246, and that's 1476. I mean, I don't know if that's significant, but the marketplace are saying, but that only says 4.
See our recording from tonight?
If anybody's got any questions, then we will call today.
This is no question. And then this is 1B.
I have given up part here.
And 1B here is
Anybody can give me about any time.
1B. That's the 14th.
I don't do the survey.
1926.
Owner of this, you want something else on it?
Let's see, that's 1B.
So I can check on it's nice meeting
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
I'll recuse myself out.
Motion for approval?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is announcements. Are there any announcements? Not hearing any. The next item is citizen comments. It looks like we several people that would like to make comments. I will ask that you try to hold your comments to 3 minutes. We've got a lot to get through this evening, so we'd appreciate it if you do that. The first person is Diane DeChar.
Good evening. My name is Diane Del Chiaro, and I'm at 1380 Creekside Drive. And I am here because I wanted to open the conversation about the extension of Creekside. And there's a number of us that have many different concerns, and so I want to just mention a few of mine, if I may. One of them is, by extending Creekside, there's a large number of children that do play along Creekside, and there's a lot of activity. There's 4 bus stops that run down Creekside, and with the bus stops, one of them being just about a half a block from where the entrance would extend, is a concern, because when you're looking at rush hour traffic, people would be coming through there at the time the bus stops are active with children. The other thing is that the street width on Creekside, from street to street, is 26 feet. And curb to curb, it's 28, which I understand is the minimum for a neighborhood street. And if we consider also the fact that there's maybe 10.5 to 11 feet per lane, so if you have 2 lanes in and out, that there is no room. I mean, we're already at the curb for the most part, driving. And if there's a car parked, you can't have 2 cars going down the street at the same time with the car parked on the side. So, and I also just kind of wanted to say that, they would really increase traffic down Creekside. And I do want to say that a lot of them that would be coming through would be those that would be really non-invested in our community in the sense of coming from Smyrna and Laverne to get to work or wherever else. And that means that their dollars really aren't being spent here in Nolensville, and their tax dollars aren't for sure. So, and we already have, Ballinger Farms already has 3 exits. And I just wonder too, how many do we really need? I mean, if we have 3 already, Nolan Park has 1. And I know that the new development that is being considered is through Beazer, that there would be 2 that they already have, and they're fine. And I spoke with a representative, and he said that they are fine with keeping it at 2. And so I just want to, tonight was really just to say I would really like to have a conversation going forward and to make sure that this is addressed with our community. We are also going to, and this is my last point, we are, as a community, there's about 240 families in Ballinger Farms that would be affected, not to mention Stonebrook, Burberry, and so forth. But we're going to have a petition with original signatures that we will present to you as well. It's a very small community, and we would like to keep it family friendly, if we may. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Mishy.
Greetings, Chairman, Mayor, Alderman, fellow engineers. I will not be as articulate as this last lady, but I am here to speak in favor of Britton Downs East. I'm probably the most affected by it because my house is right next to the new development, but yet we have 2 sub-streets. It looks like it should be connected, so I will support the request. I do appreciate them staying out of the floodplain and out of the floodway. The one thing I would like for you guys to consider, I don't know if it's within your purview or the engineer of record and the city engineer, they are proposing a couple of bioretention areas. They do fabulous job in cleaning the water, but they are a high maintenance, seems very high maintenance for 17 units. And I would sure love if Nolensville staff and the design engineer could work together and see if there's something a little bit more affordable that they can do versus bioretention areas. But like I said, once again, I'm very supportive that they're staying out of the floodway and floodplain, and I do like to see this go forward. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Brian Shea.
Greetings, my name is Brian Chatham. I am at 1505 Eden Rose Place in Britton Downs. I'm here to show support for the Britton Downs East development. I've lived in this subdivision for approximately 10 years and looking forward to the new development. Thank you.
Thank you. Deanne, you said? I apologize if I butchered your name.
No, that's correct. Yes, I'm also here in favor of the Britton Downs East subdivision, and we're very excited that Mr. Yazdian actually purchased the land. We've spoken with a lot of neighbors, and they were very, very happy to hear that he bought it as opposed to any of the other builders who were also interested in it. We feel that it's just going to be a great asset to have these additional homes there and really help with property values in the neighborhood. So thank you so much.
You're also going to be affected by this.
Yes,
You live
I'm
around
right
the corner.
next to it.
Yeah,
I'm right
on the
next
corner,
to,
on the-
yes,
Yeah. Okay, good to see you.
thank you.
Tyler State.
Tyler Spade, 1383 Creekside Drive, next door neighbor with Diana there. So, Mayor Alexander asked her to kind of head up a committee in our neighborhood to represent our views on extending Creekside. So I've joined with her. We're working on our Facebook page to get other members from our neighborhood and the two neighbors next to us. And so we will have that petition hopefully by next month. Not to repeat anything she said, my concern is you can connect us to the new Beezer, which connects to the next two neighborhoods, which then connect to Fly Road. You've now created a shortcut from Fly Road all the way to what's essentially Dorch, pretty much. So anybody with Google Maps that lives in Smyrna, Laverne can figure out they can skip all the congestion at the elementary school. They can skip all of the congestion downtown. It'll spit them out by the new car wash, which will essentially bypass the 30-mile-an-hour zone. So all the way from Smyrna to Laverne, you now have a shortcut to the 40-mile-an-hour zone. There's no benefit to anyone living in our town. The benefit is to people that don't even live here. And we already see in our neighborhood with our super narrow roads, when somebody parks, you have to do a zigzag to get through our neighborhood, and people always park on the street. So if you add the zigzag with somebody who's late to work, whose boss has said, if you're late one more time, you're fired, and they're doing this to get to work on time through 4 different school bus stop signs, it's only a matter of time until tragedy strikes. So it's very important to us, given that we have 3 exits, the other 3 neighborhoods next to us have 2 exits, the new one already has 2 exits, there's no need to connect Creekside. Beezer said they don't care either way, they're happy to make it a cul-de-sac on their end. Let's just leave it the way they want it. All of us are for not extending Creekside Drive. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item of business is our new organizational. Area where we elect officers for the next calendar year. So I'll open by asking, are there any nominations for chairperson of the planning commission? Yes.
Well, in my opinion, we have the best chairperson possible. He's done a great job for the last few years, and I feel very comfortable with him. And I hope he would accept this position for at least another year. And I think, Doug, I think you've done a great job. You know about as much about this as anyone I know of, so I certainly nominate you.
I'll second that.
Third.
Fourth.
Are there any other nominations?
Unanimous? No, there are not. Let's vote.
Okay, the nominations are closed. Thank you. Nominations for vice chair. Oh, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you. Nominations for vice chair.
Well, if no one else will speak up, I will. Again, I feel very comfortable with Andy being the vice chairman. He works in the industry where he's around planners and engineers and all those kind of people. He knows the language, he knows the procedures for doing a lot of things. So I would nominate Andy for this position.
I'll second. Any other nominations? Not hearing any other nominations? All in favor, Andy, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. You're elected, Andy. Next is secretary.
You're on a roll there. Keep going.
Well, thanks, Jason.
I'm
We'll
not
pay
ready.
for that later in the meeting.
I know. I
Well-
meant that in a positive,
Oh, absolutely.
supportive way.
Supportive, yes.
That's right.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, that's what I'm talking about.
The secretary we currently have, I see in the office quite often. He walks from his home over on Norfolk Drive, rain or shine. Whenever we need him, we have the plats there for him to sign and review. He's been a member of the Plant Commission for a very long time. And I would nominate my friend Bob.
Second.
Second.
Third, fourth, fifth.
Are there any other nominations? Not hearing any. All in favor of Bob Haynes? Signify by saying
Aye.
Opposed?
I think we all did a good job tonight.
I think we did.
Go home, but I think we've done a good job. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda. Any objections to anything on the consent agenda?
I have some questions.
Okay.
On the consent agenda, as it applies to Bent Creek Phase 1, Section 1, and Bent Creek Phase 2, Section 2, there seems to be a discrepancy between what's in the cover letter, and for both of those instances, they're asking for $19,226.30. But I see in the tabulation for those, the Bent Creek Phase 2, Section 1 is 19,226, and it's listed here as 19,244. And that's a small change, but a more significant difference is Phase 2, Section 1B. Again, the cover letter speaks to $19,226, but there's only $14,775 listed. Can somebody explain what that's for? Why there's a difference?
There was a typo in the engineer's letter. I think the numbers are reflected in the correct numbers are reflected in the bond report, so they're taken care of, and the letters are correct.
Okay, so the correct number is indeed the 19,226 for both of those.
They're
We're in the bond report, which is the last.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, the discrepancy. That's where I'm seeing the discrepancy.
And the letter for phase 11, section 1B should be 14,770.
You hear?
I'm not sure your microphone's on.
Do you want me to repeat that?
Yeah.
You might, just for the record.
The correct bond amount for Bank Creek Phase 11, Section 1 should be 19,244. And the correct bond amount for Bank Creek Phase 11, Section 1B should be 14,775. You repeated the number on one letter.
I'll correct the letter and get it back to
Okay.
staff.
Yeah, I just noticed
Sorry
that.
about that.
No problem. Just wondering why. Thank you.
For the record, I knew you were wrong.
I should have caught that.
I know,
But it was an extension, so I wrote it.
See, I'm a new guy, so I'm going to careful.
That's great. Any other comments about the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second. With the changes.
With the changes, Bob?
Yes, with the changes that,
Yes.
from the 19,244 to the 19,226 for Section 1, and from 19,226 to 14,775 for Section 1B.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is new business. First item of new business is Newsom Lane final plat.
My name is John Goff, and I represent the owner. We presented the plat last time, and you don't have a correction on the thing. We submitted it to Metro with the addition of the easement for the sewer line along Lot 2, the northern portion. That extends over to Lot 1. Metro had no problems with it. They gave me the water capacity letter, sewer capacity letter on the thing. And as far as I know, that was the only comment y'all had on it.
So that does extend over that is to Lot 1.
Yes,
I
sir.
see it's marked on Lot 2, but
Yes, sir.
It
It extends over to the property line on Lot 1.
okay. So you can get to it just when even though it didn't cross the property line, you still got access to the sewer.
Yes, sir. It's a 20-foot easement, which is typical for a normal 8-inch sewer line. This is just a
Right.
service line. So that I exceeded what was required.
But shouldn't that that easement also run over onto Lot 1?
It touches the property line on Lot 1. So they
You
have,
can definitely get to it.
yeah, you can actually get
Okay.
to it. It gives you permission to go all the way across the northern portion of Lot 2 to the property line on Lot 1. And, you know, at that point in time, you're on your own property, so.
That's going to be a force main, isn't
This
it?
area up here.
That's not going to be gravity fed, is it?
It's whatever is in that area. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I think it's an 8-inch gravity sewer line through there, but it could very well be a force main.
I think it is also.
Well, that's,
Okay.
These be your new neighbors, weren't they, Larry?
yeah, they're right down the street.
Yeah.
I don't think that sewer's deep enough for you to get gravity fed was my reason why, on those lots. Because I hooked that sewer up on that little house above it,
Yes, sir.
but it right on top of the ground,
Really?
right on top of the ground. Or I dug the ditch, I didn't, plumber actually hooked it, I didn't.
Well, like, the owner hasn't paid the fee for the hookup yet, but he has gotten a letter from them saying that it is acceptable to hook it
So
up.
I'm thinking he probably wasn't doing force main.
Okay. I'll bow to you knowledge on that.
One other little question here. You got, these lots are situated on a curve. Is there adequate sight distance from what you see on the plats to make that would be not problematic?
From just glancing at it, it appears like you have approximately 200 and, I'm guessing 220, 25 feet of sight distance, which is typically what is adequate for a 35 mile an hour street, 40 mile an hour street is what they require on it.
Okay. Where will you put the drive, the entrance on number 1? You haven't gotten there yet?
The owner has told me what he's gonna build there. He hasn't told me where he's gonna put the driveway.
Okay.
I do know that he doesn't have a problem if you have a specific place you want that driveway on that lot.
Yeah.
I will be happy to add that to the plat.
Okay.
If you want to make it a condition of approval, I have no problem with doing that whatsoever.
I'll run it by a traffic engineer tomorrow, but I think you're right, it'd probably be okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank y'all.
Oh, we don't have the motion yet. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the plat as approved, as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously. The next item is Benington 2, Section 3, final plat revision.
Eric McNeely, I'm here to represent the applicant tonight. You guys approved this plat a couple of months ago. We've recorded it. We discovered the surveyor used the wrong CAD file to generate the final plat. So we want to present this back to you guys for revision.
Okay. Questions or comments?
So this replaces the one we already approved?
Yes,
Okay,
it'll replace it, yes.
okay.
The only comment I would have, Mr. Chairman, is it'd be nice if we started getting some complete legends.
I'll talk to the surveyor about trying to do that, Bob.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, you have a symbol for a fire hydrant, but I don't see any symbols for fire hydrants here. I see the FH,
yeah, fire hydrant.
no symbol.
Well, okay.
It's not there.
In the legend,
Legend says fire hydrant, and it's got a
It has a
symbol.
symbol.
But if you only have FH here,
here's a fire hydrant right here. Right there. There's one right there.
is there a symbol there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all,
There's no symbol here.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'll do the best I can.
Yeah. That's why I brought it up.
Well, they're there. Sorry.
Anything else?
No, that was.
Anybody else have comments? Questions?
I'll make a motion that we approve Benington 2, Section 3, final plat revision.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank
Motion
you.
passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is Scales Farmstead Phase 3 preliminary plat, final plat.
Good evening. Wes Harris with Ring Smith, here to represent the Scales Farmstead preliminary plat, final master plan for phase 3. This is the third and final phase of the Scales Farmstead. I'll open it up for any questions.
Y'all gonna move a lot of dirt on this one, aren't you?
Got a bunch of.
Gonna be a little earthwork on this one, yes, sir.
Wes?
The grading contractor's not disappointed about that.
No, the back line's there.
Wes, got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
On page 1-1, L1-1.1, at the back of the lots, lot 238, 237, 236, why are you cutting down the trees there?
Well,
Because obviously these lots are big enough where the house will not be anywhere near back there.
and I believe that part of it is because of the significant amount of grading that are going on these lots, and what we're doing by the time we grade the road, grade through the house pad, and then tie back in the rear, I believe it's what's causing removal of those trees.
Yeah, you see significant grading back there.
Yes, sir. And
So you're skimming the hilltop, is that the deal?
yes,
Well,
we're prepping these lots for the buyer.
So that's what making them critical lots, because you got to move a lot of compaction in the back.
I believe the critical lots are designated because of existing slopes, but the slopes are what's causing the significant amount of grading also, so.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I'm looking at significant trees here. You have a cherry tree in this group that's a 26-inch diameter. You have a walnut with 17, and they're on the hillside. And so I'm looking at this thing, I'm trying to figure out why you would be cutting trees down on a slope. So what you're saying is you're going to eliminate those slopes, 10 foot of them.
Well, we're gonna create a building envelope for the builders, for their final product for their house, and the tieback slopes then on the rear to catch back up. It
goes to that level of disturbance.
You probably killed the.
You got over 10 feet.
Sir?
The slope is over 10 foot.
Yeah, well, because of the slopes, that's why it takes so much for us to catch back up
Yeah,
with
so
grade.
that's why I said you're gonna cut over 10 foot off of the,
Yes, sir, some of these lots we are cutting over 10 feet.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Kill the tree anyway.
It would kill them, yes.
so I guess the original premise of keeping the contours of the farm where they're plunking houses is not really that true.
Well, I can't speak to that. We are keeping the trees in the open space, and I think we are meeting the required plantings to replace the ones we were taking out. Certainly, we would prefer not to take out the trees, but I think it's this particular end user likes a slab-ready product as opposed to working with the natural grade, and so sometimes we're at the mercy of the end user, which we are not. We're just putting lots on the ground.
And don't get me wrong, I have no problems with moving a tree where you're gonna put a house. Just reviewing this thing, it just seemed a shame.
You know how they like to build the houses these days. They take up every square inch of the building envelope these days.
Yeah.
So.
If they could, they set up an A-bomb so it was nice and flat and then start.
How close is that entrance gonna be to the top of that little rise you come up over?
I honestly can't answer that just right off the top of my head. Now, I can tell you that we have checked for site distance, and we have adequate site distance out there. So, as far as exactly where we are on that ridge, I'm not 100% off the top of my head.
I'd sure like to see a deceleration lane going
There is.
on that westbound side.
We have a right turn lane in and a left turn lane in on this entrance.
Yeah, but how about deceleration?
No.
That's really, that is really.
Get the right turn lane.
The right turn lane.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I'm talking right through here.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody want to make a motion?
I can make a motion on this one, I think. I make a motion to approve Skills Farmstead Phase 3 preliminary plat condition on complying with the comments from Neil Shaker. You got that?
Yes, sir.
And also condition that a long-term maintenance assurance be established for the trees counted as street trees planted behind the sidewalk in
Yes, sir.
individual yards.
Yes, sir. And those are planted.
You plan to do that?
Yes, sir. And those are planted in the yards because we've spoken with Nosville College Grove, and they want their water line in that grass strip. So they said they're thinking about changing that, but as of today, it's not. So.
I'll make a motion to approve of those two conditions.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Next item is Britton Downs East rezoning and concept flood plain.
Eric Wilson, Anderson Epps, here to represent the flood plan. This is the concept plan. As far as Bower County and more, we're on the work, find different options, just whatever works for the family. This is just to extend the two-step streets that we could go to Britton.
Questions or comments? I've got a question and a comment, I guess. What you're showing is the existing 100-year flood.
Yes.
And the floodway.
Yes.
How that's going to change.
Yeah, I've seen some already.
All right. So you've seen
Yeah,
that?
we're aware of it, and then once those, those are effective, at the time we do final plans, we'll set finished floors based off those. There is some slope to the site, so I don't think we'll have any issues. So we'll set those houses up above that.
That's good that you thought to look at that. I think Doug's right. We should look at that every time we get something in that's near the floodplain, make sure that the engineers have checked the new plan, and this two plots will not be affected by the several percent.
Yeah, I believe it falls up to the rear of those lots, so it's not going to, you know, and I know it's not effective yet. I know, I'm not even sure where it is as far as the review and approval of it, as far as timeframe, but yeah, we have kept it in mind.
Or any of that.
Yeah.
I've seen the preliminary information, and so I know that it's increased.
I think it raises it maybe roughly about a foot to the rear of the site, which it shouldn't affect those lots as far as setting our FFEs.
As long as you've looked at that and you're accounting
Yeah.
for it, that's good.
I've actually taken a look in the copy that we have, and it looked like you were all okay.
Any other questions?
You made a comment at the beginning about the fire retention areas, what'd you say?
Yeah, I know there's a comment from
Steve.
Jason, yeah. We're more than willing to work, look at different options as far as what works for the town to meet their requirements. You know, this is still just a concept, we're kind of just showing the general idea, but we'll keep on the numbers.
I like those Bible ponds because they drain. A lot of the others we get, for some reason, the water never gets drained out of them completely. I sure hope that's something we pay more attention to in the future. A lot of our detention areas have water standing year round.
Mm-hmm.
I make a motion that we approve Britton Downs East rezoning and concept plan. You realize that this will have to go to BOMA for readings and a public hearing, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion
I'll
to
second.
approve.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is old business report from the last board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was an approval for ordinance 18-08, second reading under approval master concept flood plan and to rezone the Herman Henry property. This is property between Rocky Fork Road and York Road from the state residential to suburban residential with a planned unit development overlay. There were 6 conditions associated with that approval.
Thank you.
It's a short meeting. We just left.
Next item, go ahead.
What, is it other?
No, not yet.
Okay,
Looks like we've got bond reports.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve bond report as amended.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously. Now we're at other.
Okay, I just want to take the opportunity to thank Brian Snyder. He saved our hide tonight. We didn't have the recorder up and running, and Brian's smiling face back there, and he knows more about it than anyone, so he got it up and going for us. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Jason?
Yeah, I have something, if you give me just a couple of minutes. I know there's been a lot of discussion recently. You may have seen some things on the news or on social media about the Morton-Brittain house that is in jeopardy with the new Hillside Center development. And I wanted to just kind of get everyone up to speed very briefly on where we are today and how this board might be affected or called upon in the future. And Bob, I'm going to defer to you when I get to the end of this. I'm going to defer to you on maybe some guidance on what I'm really after. I've made a couple of notes for myself. So if you'll recall, some time ago when we were going through the discussion of this property and this house was being discussed, with this, with the Planning Commission, we even brought up at the time, I know I brought up at the time, hey, I've got some real concerns about this house. I've done some research on houses that are on the registry and the different levels of protection, whether there's governmental involvement or not, and had acknowledged in that meeting, I understand that with this house, even though it's on the registry, it's not afforded the same protections. And there was some real concern about, you know, preserving our history. And while we may have been led to believe that we were going to go down one path, we're now down a different path, and I think we know what that path is. So several months ago, historic zoning, we had application for demolition, which at that time was denied. And we had a number of people come and speak, including people from the Heritage Foundation and people within our community and preservationists, and come in and pretty passionately speak about the fact that this is one of only 3 homes in our town that is on the registry. And you know, one of the things I think we all are very sensitive to and take pride in when it comes to the town of Nolensville is our heritage and our history. And and I've spoken on this before, I spoke that night and I'm speaking again tonight, I would hate to see us lose what has such history to our town. I would hate to see us lose that and be demolished for a new development. So that application was denied. We since found out at the end of November, I think it was November 29th, that the Historic Zoning Commission actually doesn't have authority to deny that application because the house doesn't reside in the historic district. So it put us in a situation where the developer was going to move forward with demolition of that house. There's been a lot of conversation take place since then. I won't bore you with the details, but here's where we are today. We've had a group of people, including the Nolensville Historical Society, including the Heritage Foundation, our Williamson County Commissioner, Beth Lathers, other volunteers who have feverishly been trying to come up with a solution, working with the developer, Mr. Malacuti, and with the town and with others to not only raise money, but to identify a location that this house could be moved to, a safe harbor location where it could be moved to temporarily until a long-term solution can be found. Now, unfortunately, there's an extremely compressed time frame that we're working within, as in the end of this month, to move the house. There's a lot that goes on, there's a lot of moving parts to this process. But I want to state publicly, and I hope that all of you feel the same, that I feel like we should extinguish every possible solution for those that are willing to dedicate time and effort and resources into saving this house. And if ultimately the house is not saved, is not moved, then at least we can look back and say, we have done everything we could possibly do to save it. And that's where I'm kind of to where we are with this board. So the group of people who are working on this have identified multiple locations that are a potential safe harbor location. Ideally, it needs to stay there. But that's not a possibility because that would preserve its registry status. But that not being a possibility, we are looking at other possibilities, and there are multiple possibilities being considered. One of those possibilities, though, without getting into specifics, would require a PUD revision by this body. Now, because of our compressed time frame, in that the house has to be moved by the end of January, there would have to be formal plans submitted, and there would have to be deliberation, and we would have to go through the process of either approving or disapproving that revision. We're not in a situation right now where the chicken can come before the egg. So what I want to say is this, and it may be that that location, that particular location that would require that PUD revision may ultimately not be the location. But, and this is Bob, this is where I'm about to punt it to you. If the location is chosen that would require a PUD revision, if that's the location that's chosen, I would like for this body to publicly state in some way that we would be willing to then consider that PUD revision even though the move had already taken place, with the understanding that they would, the group that's working on this would have a certain amount of time, to not only get that information into us, but that if this body disapproves their application, that house would then be moved to another safe harbor location. But we're not in a situation right now where, with the time frame we're looking at, that those applications can be made and that those things can be submitted and this body can hear that revision and then make a determination and move forward. We're just simply not there. And we can place blame in a lot of areas, but it's been an unfortunate series of circumstances, and there's no point looking backwards at how we got here. This is where we are. And I know that I can't make a motion necessarily from this body to say, would we support this move? But what I do want to say to those people who are working so hard on trying to preserve this house is that we're willing to accommodate hearing that application, understanding that that if this board does not feel like it's in compliance or that it's disapproved in some way, that they would then be required to move that house. Now, Bob, I don't know what I did. For me, this is why you're the attorney, and this is why I'm just a planning commissioner. But
I think you probably can do better than I can. Okay.
And there is a short-term safe harbor location. That the main thing right now is, can we get it into a short-term safe harbor location that could potentially turn into a long-term solution? But can we just get it off of that property somewhere else, short-term, to preserve it until we can figure out a longer-term plan to completely restore it and to make it a usable asset for the town?
Several people have contacted me on this, so obviously I've tried to be prepared. And I'm aware of a couple different locations, one of which would require Historic Zoning Commission approval to relocate that structure within the historic district.
Right.
If that one doesn't pan out, the other one I understand is on private property, probably relative to maybe a homeowners association. And that one is interesting. I looked at our ordinances. I think, that house in its current state is not habitable, inhabitable. I don't think it's not habitable. It's not really a residence. It's a structure. It's a shell. And I really haven't seen anything in our ordinances that would prevent a safe harbor temporary parking of that structure, even on somebody's private property. Now, if that property stays there and becomes a residence with plumbing and electric and heating and all that, I think the planning commission is going to have to get involved and do a replat or amended plat or something like that.
Right.
But I think any organization that has private property and they want to give a safe harbor parking of a uninhabitable structure like that, I think that's a possibility. I really do think
with the owner's approval and contingent on a plan. I think that fits into what I think would be acceptable.
And I know that there's been incredible support and cooperation with this particular situation, which would be a homeowners association. I think they are very, very cooperative, and that's certainly a possibility. Like you said, another possibility would require historic zoning. I guess more than anything, I want to say, and I hope that everyone here feels like I do, that I feel like we have some level of responsibility of preserving the history that we have. Not everything that's been here for 100 years needs to be torn down for a new retail center. And we just don't have that much. And I know all the people that sit on this board, and many of you have been here for a very long time, and I hope that you are as passionate about this as I am, and I hope that we, as a body and as staff, and we can help to support moving this along as best we can. And I'm not saying that we haven't. I'm just saying there's people watching, and there's people listening, and they need to know that they have our support. That's what I want to say.
Well, I'll answer a little bit of that, Jason. I can tell you that the town has been very cooperative. And I promised the mayor that I would, from the town's aspect, that we would be helpful as much as we can. In fact, the meeting that's called tomorrow night is a special meeting that's called by the town. So Sarah, Callie, Ken, everybody, Don, everybody that's involved with the town has been very supportive, and we will continue to do that.
And I fully believe that. And this was more about getting this body up to speed on where we are, more so than staff, just because we've been involved in the process of the approvals of that development. And we talked about that house, even though we didn't have authority over that house. Even though we were, certainly, it was suggested to us that there would be something different done to that house than demolition. And so I wanted everyone to be aware of where we are today, what we're trying to do. And, you know, Knowlesville's done pretty amazing things when we all band together and decide we're going to do something. And that's part of why we incorporated in 1996 was to kind of drive our own ship and determine our own destiny. And we have an opportunity to do that right now with this. And it's going to be hard, and it's going to be expensive, and it takes a lot of effort, a lot of volunteer hours. But I think if we can accomplish this goal and it can be moved and restored, I think we will look back on this and really, really feel good about the work that was done. And I fully anticipate that we will look back on this and we'll be proud of preserving this house. That's all I have to say, brother.
Can I say one other thing?
Absolutely.
It's not connected with the house, but it is important. Today, Ken, myself, and Bob, and I think Russell was there. We met with the College Grove Utility District. We have come to terms with them in agreement to work together for a maintenance, replacement, and of our hydrants around town, all 650 of them. So today, Bob was instructed, has been instructed, to work with their attorney to draw up an agreement, an interlocal agreement, and the work should start pretty quick. It'll start in the older neighborhoods and move out. And then I think they talked about it taking 2 years to go through and get through all of them, but we will, and then we'll sit down with them to work out a long-term arrangement. But the hydrants will be, hydrant checks and all that will be done today.
Can I ask 2 questions on it?
Yes.
Is this a financial commitment from the town in terms of partnership, or is it both financial and sharing in liability?
Today we started with the financial part.
Okay. That's part of what they'll work out?
Because we got 3 estimates, and they, knowing more about it than we do, accepted the middle one, not the lowest one, but they accepted the middle one, and
so it's from an outside, it's a contracted
it's
situation.
A contract. And today was strictly financial, but the other details will be worked out with Bob and their attorneys.
Well, we talked about that quite a bit Thursday night, so it's exciting to hear we're close to a resolution on the following Tuesday. That's great. I know y'all been working on this.
I feel like we have a resolution, Bob.
Yeah, we did. We had a gentleman's handshake agreement as far as the meeting. It was in the recorded meeting. It was presented. They asked us if it was okay if they went ahead and bid it out, and we said we don't have any objection. But you know, it's their hydrants at this point, and they're hiring the contractor, so we don't have the liability of hiring anybody or that type of thing. It's their asset, their property. But we've agreed to a financial commitment, and I thought the financial amount was a lot lower than what I thought it would be. I thought it could be up twice that. So,
great.
And I don't think you get heartburn over it.
Good. I know Tommy's back there watching too.
Tommy might get
Tommy's not. So budget season's coming. Hopefully it'll be a really small number to consider.
Well, I learned one thing. I don't know if the Mayor Russell did, but I mean, their position kind of, these things are made out of what, iron or something? And once you go in and do a maintenance plan and check the valves and, you know, stuff doesn't rust overnight. I mean, once you do this, it's almost a 3 to 5 year look back and look again, which made me feel a little better.
Well, they thought they could do this in 2 years, and then we'd have another couple of years that we go back and start it again. So I think it's a very good arrangement.
That's great.
Anything else? Anything else anybody else wants to say? All right, adjourn.
Good.
Pretty good.